well into it inside his hometown. Here he is, falling into the APFC arena, going to war with Tom Caballero. Mike Hansen gets this featherweight bout underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC Featherweight division, sponsored by Toyo Tires. And your referee in charge is Rob Madrigal. And now, introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black and white, he stands 6 feet tall. Official weight, 145.2 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record, 1 victory with no defeats. Fighting out of Brickyard, Indiana, Thomas Tito Caballero. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black with red trim, he stands 6 feet tall. Official weight, 146 pounds. Coming in tonight, making his debut. Originally from Orakiti, Nigeria. Now he lives and fights out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Ashanti Olofintila.
Olofintila all the way from Nigeria, representing his country tonight against the online sensation himself, Thomas T-Tom Caballero. Rob Madrigal, third man inside the octagon. This featherweight bout, David Evans, gets underway.
I'm excited to see this one. We have a big athletic fighter versus the personality here. Let's see which one is going to come out on top. Right away, we have Olofintila getting the takedown, and Caballero turning it over. If that's going to be the testament to this fight, it's going to be a great one.
T-Tom wasting no time, reversing that one in an advantageous position. Ashanti, again, 12 months of training. This is a big task in front of him.
Big task. I think he's up for it. I mean, he's training at Rufus Sport. We kind of talked to that earlier. He has a bit of experience coming behind him as far as the training partners and coaches with him, so this is going to be exciting.
Working on a potential triangle. Caballero needs to mind his P's and Q's. Ashanti locking it up. David, this looks deep.
It looks deep. He's rolling with it. Very educated in the way he's approaching that triangle there. And if he doesn't have the triangle, I was going to say look for him to transition to the arm bar, but it looks like he's more comfortable coming on top.
Thomas Caballero trying to power his way through these positions. Just under 2 minutes remain, and he pops out the back door.
Caballero able to weather the grappling storm there.
He can talk the talk, and he also walks the walk, David Evans.
Very much so. I mean, he's on his back. I mean, I've seen him fight once before. I don't think this is where he wants to be. I don't see him being the guy that's going to set up a slick submission off his back. However, just surviving that triangle is a testament to his heart and his character right there in amongst himself.
Ashanti Olofintila not really in any trouble here, just riding his way through this front choke attempt, David.
You know, I just think he's just going to kind of ride it out. I mean, the opponent on bottom here is a lot to kind of hold on to that position. And I think it's smart by Olofintila to just kind of sit there. If he's not in danger, sit there, ride it out. Don't put himself in a worse position by trying to fight here.
With both arms in, I mean, that would be a Herculean task to finish the guillotine.
Very much so. It would take a lot of athleticism, a lot of power, and you can't sustain that over 3 5-minute rounds.
50 seconds remains. Ashanti trying to burn out the arms of T-Tom Caballero. Interesting to see when Rob Madrigal might step in and issue a warning for activity or potentially a separation. Neither guy really doing much.
Very much so. There's not much action going on, not even just pot shots from either person. So at some point, I don't see this, 30 seconds left? Let's stand them up. Let's see what they're both worth. But it seems like he's a little bit more patient than some of us may be.
Olofintila pops out now in an opportunity to issue some offense. 15 seconds remain in round number 1, but neither guy still doing much. Interesting round to score, David, when you think about who should get the 10-9 nod.
Very much so. I'd go Olofintila simply just because he got that immediate takedown, got, countered, but he ended up on top. The judges tend to have a short-term memory. You end the fight on top, you end in a dominant position. A lot of the times, more often than not, that'll give you the nod.
Great opening frame of 2 competent grapplers. We take it to a quick highlight of what was a somewhat actionless round, but there's still a lot to devour.
Olofintila has a tough competitor. It was Nate Jennerman here in his tournament, so we talk about that experience there at Rufus Sport. Here he got that sneaky triangle, set it up beautiful, pulled the top leg in, secured it, and I thought he was initially going to transition to the armbar. However, very intelligently rolled with it. Wasn't able to get it, but ended up in the top position, looking for some strikes here. And Tea Time on the bottom just scrapping his way, you know, never stopped fighting, got out of that position. And I mean, this fight has just kind of been like two cats going at it, just spurred. You know, it's hard to score. You got to go to the rule book and say, hey, okay, Olofintila was on top, got the takedown. I got to give him the nod.
A lot of grappling in round number one. We'll see if either man can get the hands going in round number two. Once again, tonight's fight's brought to you by Toyo Tires. The next time Mike Camry needs a tire, you better believe it's going to be a Toyo one. Big kick right there from T-Tom Caballero. Once again, brought to the mat, though, David.
Hey, I'm loving these takedowns, however, by Olofintila, man. Just being patient, not rushing in, taking advantage of his opponent's angst a little bit, and he's ending up on top here.
You know, especially if there is a path of least resistance and you can identify areas of opportunity, why not take them? Ashanti Olofintila clearly has a bit of a grappling edge.
Very much so, and in a fight that's hard to do, because a lot of the times you see T-Time, he's just fighting with his spirit. He's coming forward, marching forward, but he's putting himself in bad positions where his opponent is doing the opposite, being very patient and is taking what his opponent is giving and working a lot less harder to do so.
Full mount for Olofintila. Caballero firmly planted on the bottom, 1 minute in, 2 remain. If you're Caballero, how do you bounce up to the feet?
Man, if you're Caballero here, you don't want to just clinch yourself. I think it's kind of an instinct when you're on bottom. You want to try to keep that person as close to you so they can't prevent damage. However, what that does is exactly that. It keeps you in that position. He has to get his arms on the inside of his opponent's chest, push him away, then push the hips away, push the knee away, and try to create space between their hips.
Ashanti unloading with some ground and pound, now snaking the right hand, potentially under the chin. Caballero, wise to it, falls forward. Bad spot for T-Tom, but seems like he might be able to pop into a better one. Ashanti denies. Still getting some work in with that right hand.
Ashanti a little high here. Generally, the principle is you want to try to stay behind the armpits. You know, if he's going for the choke on that left side there, at least get that right arm with some wrist control or something to kind of keep him. It's like a seatbelt to keep him there attached on top. However, his opponent is just fighting through every position, you know, not being the most technical on the bottom there, fighting hands like he should be, but just looking to power out of positions.
Olofintila told us that he's predicting a submission. Now here he is with 1 minute to go, and the back of Thomas Caballero, he's inching closer and closer to a potential stoppage.
Olofintila, I mean, he just fell into MMA a year ago, right? Like,
yeah.
But I didn't know any better. I think he was doing jiu-jitsu he's at least a blue belt, just the way he's moving and transitioning.
The awareness
of
the
awareness of everything.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful grappling from someone who just fell into MMA. That's amazing.
I'm thinking we throw a soccer ball into the arena and see what he can do next. 20 seconds remain. Thomas Caballero with a mountain of adversity ahead of him now. Ashanti Olofintila deeply impressing in the debut, in my opinion. Thomas Caballero rolling over, just trying to maintain posture of Ashanti and mitigate damage.
Very much so. Olofintila just sticking to his back. Caballero not being very technical. He seems to have developed his own style, as he said, but he's a great fighter. I like his personality. I like his intensity. Maybe just polish up some things. Here we have Olofintila just on top right here, just sticking to his opponent like a backpack. T-Time just being aggressive, trying to fight tooth and nail to get his opponent off of him, which I think he could if he just takes his time and focus on the nuances and details in those positions. But Olofintila just sticking to the grappling, taking what his opponent's getting him, and looking very technical and clean above all else.
Body language would suggest that, you know, Thomas Caballero, the fresher man, standing up. Ashanti Olofintila, despite all of the grappling progress and success he's had, seated, taking some deep breaths. When you look at the stamina management, which guy seems to be the fresher as we find ourselves in the final round at 145 pounds?
I think T-Tom has a bit of a poker face going on. You know, I think Olofintila, yeah, he worked hard to be in those positions. That's just the name of the game fighting-wise, but I think his consistency is going to outlast here in this third round. Unless we see something amazing here from T-Time, I'm going to lean towards Olofintila. I'm sorry, I keep messing up his name. Olofintila. Man, that's a name right there.
Big attempt right there from Caballero. Ashanti answers with the body kick, now winging some hooks. No technique behind him, just all power.
Now, if you're Olofintila, you got to get back to what's been working. He almost put himself in some danger trying to match the intensity of tea time, but he got smart. Level change, got to the takedown, and we're back here in this position as we started the second round where he's a little sweaty now. Maybe he can work his head out of there a little bit, but tea time just kind of hanging on.
You know, we think back to that second fight of the evening between Gunnar Helland and Darian Mahone. Mahone, big come from behind head kick KO. Thomas Caballero could replicate that success if he finds an opportunity. Hasn't been able to get up from his back so far with 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. It's do or die for T-Top.
But as we just saw, he's a punch or two away from ending this fight. I think if he does the right things to get himself back to the feet, he can put himself in a position to win.
Rolling over is Thomas Caballero. Ashanti Olofintila taking the back, maybe looking for a triangle. Thomas with his best opportunity to fight puts Ashanti on his back.
So Caballero on top now. Let's see what he does here. He can't hang out. He has to move with a sense of urgency. He's down 2 rounds. He has to put the pause on Olofintila here.
Close out of the cage.
Or even separate. Let's get back to our feet. I know you're going to shoot. I'm going to keep my space and look for that one big shot.
90 seconds separate Tom Caballero from the decision, which likely will not be going his way, but look at this. Ashanti Olofintila back on the triangle attempt.
Sneaking that triangle in, and it's almost because of what Caballero's doing as opposed to Olofintila. Caballero's just coming forward with his hips high and his head down.
You can see Olofintila taps him in round number 3. Lightning quick submission from the Nigerian Ashanti Olofintila.
As I was saying, Caballero's aggressiveness and intensity kind of worked against him in that position. Kept his hips high and his head down and was pressuring forward, but wasn't advancing past that, which gave his opponent the time frame to make the adjustments to sneak in that triangle choke.
Entertaining walkout from Thomas Caballero, but this fight firmly belongs to Ashanti Olofintila. We take a quick look at that massive third round submission here. David, I mean, seemed like Thomas was moving his way out of it, but like you said, put his way into a fight-ending sequence.
Yeah, very much so. Beautiful grappling, however, by Olofintila. Here we have, I think he has a triangle locked in here. Very smart, coming under the leg, keeping his opponent attached to that position, making the adjustments, and before he could even get there, Caballero knew what time it was and seemed to give him the tap.
We send it inside to Mike Hansen to make that third round stoppage official.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee, Rob Madrigal, called the stop of the contest at 1 minute 54 seconds of round number 3, declaring the winner by submission via triangle choke, Ashanti Olofintila.
What a great performance from the Nigerian-born featherweight. Excellent debut here in Milwaukee.